the oil sector. I remember that Madam Nuhu Ribadu led committee, which the government did set up on revenue in that oil sector. Well, some matters has popped up. As a matter of fact, it's been leaked, they say. Remember that was quoted to have said, well, what's out there perhaps has been leaked to the press. But maybe that may be beside the point, if you will. But Mr. Sowunmi, you talked about the fact that, that's how you put it, that government should constructively engage these marketers rather than the way they're going. And people may ask, what's wrong with the way they're going? The EFCC has been empowered to investigate anyone who's been found guilty of fraud. Isn't that what people had always wanted?
Yeah, which is true, but that's what people think they want. But is that what they really want? I think what Nigerians want is a system that works. What Nigerians want is a system that will benefit the person on the road. Yes, people want those who have defrauded the system to be punished, but I'm not sure as a consequence they want for scarcity. I'm not also sure as a consequence they want all the inconveniences that go with it. So we still come back to something I mentioned before. How does the system operate? How do we operate a system that permits all these things? And then when you look at certain decisions that are made, I personally am not one that wants to criticize government, not because government shouldn't be criticized, but in this particular case, government is doing a lot more than they are given credit for. But I think that some of the decisions that were made, especially with respect to the petroleum marketers, with respect to fuel subsidies, had certain imperfections in them. And I use the word imperfections very quietly, because there are two sides to every business decision. There's a political side and there's a business side. In other words, when we are making a decision, there is justice being done and justice being seen to be done. Now, what the people want is a perception that there is justice. But as a consequence, we don't have to execute it in such a way that it will disturb the very fabric of the general person.
Like what? The causing fuel scarcity? As
exactly. Okay, we find out that, let's say, for hypothetical reasons, we say that there are 20 marketers involved. Out of the 20 marketers, because of some imperfections in the system, they don't exactly know who out of them actually genuinely imported fuel or how many times they genuinely imported fuel, and all those data. Rather than punish everybody at the same time, they need to look for a way that the system will continue and look for a gradual way of processing the punishment. But, and that's where there's a big but, there may be people who will want to shout and criticize the government for being selective. But then again, when a man knows what he's doing, he needs to stand by it. The key thing is that the people who are, the process that has been going on to execute, to ensure that the people who are even genuinely working are going to be punished as a result of part of cleaning the system. And that is where the politics come in. The politics of it will ensure that even though certain people are are not working, we are going to ensure that everybody is not given the same amount of punishment until we are sure that they are actually guilty. And that way, we don't experience sudden shocks in the system.
Are you attributing the current scarcity to the prosecution of independent marketers or marketers generally?
Well, we have import issues in terms of fuel. There's no doubt about that. And if I'm being persecuted, there's no doubt that I'll be distracted.
Why do you think it's persecution? Why do we use the word persecution, not prosecution? Because, there was some fraud in the system, and it was fraud that was not, it wasn't chicken feed money, it was a lot of money. And a host of people already see the lopsidedness in our justice system that punishes a man for stealing a very little amount of money, and maybe just to eat. And then someone steals a lot of money, we say because that person also has some job to play in the system or a role to play in the system, we should be gradual about the kind of punishment we give the person.
I don't believe that justice should be selective, not in the least. I think maybe they even need to be harder on the people who have executed these crimes. The point I'm simply trying to make here is that the process of punishing a person does not have to affect the whole community. There is a responsibility on the part of those who are executing justice to ensure that society does not suffer for the sins and the ills of a few people. That is the point that I'm making, and that's why I talk about the political side.
Those few people who are trying to save or salvage the situation, so to speak. The few people who are now being prosecuted are supposedly, you mentioned, let's say 20 marketers.
Yes.
And there's fraud in the system.
Yes.
And these marketers are being prosecuted, but then they're the ones that are supposed to supply the fuel. So
that's why I said
society gets to suffer still.
Yes, I said, you see, we also need to look at a part of the justice system. The purpose of justice is not exactly to punish, it's to correct. In the process of correction, there will be punishment. There's no doubt about that. But the primary purpose is that we want to reform those who have been guilty so that when they go through the correction and the justice system, they come out better people to be part of society. That's why when a man goes to prison, it's not the end of his life. We don't expect him to just die in prison. We expect him to come out and be a better person. So we should put that at the back of our mind. So when these marketers are found guilty, we expect that when they go through the whole hog of the correction of the justice system, they will come out to be better citizens.
All right. This report touches on some part of this matter, fuel scarcity, those who should be prosecuted, what is being done. Let's take a look at this, and we'll be back.
May have been back to the trenches again with regards to the nation's downstream oil and gas sector. Barely days after long queues surfaced again in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Lagos seemed to be taking its turn. Several weeks before now, it's been a galloping situation in terms of supply, and that has been against the background of assurances from officials of the NNPC and the Petroleum Ministry that normalcy will return. That, of course, is not happening, at least judging by these visuals.
As you can see me sweating, I've been here for long, and it's really affecting not only myself, but Nigerians as a whole.
I leave my office, come to filling station to queue for fuel, just because if I didn't buy it on time, that means I'll be going to my place of work with a bike.
And there's no bike.
And there's no bike. You can imagine.
Once again, the question is asked, what is responsible for these prolonged queues at fuel stations?
Once you do have such situations, it shows up with different phases of sharp practices, ranging from under delivery to diversions, to even people selling above the oil price, the pump price, the approved price, especially for PMS. In Q3 alone, we've sealed about 245 stations. Now, you will also think that then this may be also counterintuitive, because at the time when there's shortage of fuel, but that's again not the time to seal stations that actually have the products. But we have to do what we really need to do.
Arepo fire, owing to vandalism, has been described as a major setback. Weeks after, 2 PPMC engineers were allegedly killed by vandals while attempting to fix the system's 2B line. Experts who know say that will remain a challenge for supply, but there is a way out.
You like it or not, it's the best way to still transfer these products is still by pipelines. NNPC is already moving in to see if they can fix those pipelines, and hopefully if that is done as quickly as possible, even the backup we'll see today in terms of queues in some of the stations will definitely go down.
The festive period's around the corner. This is one condition most Nigerians will hate to face, but at that time, something has to happen, and fast too, for this scenario to completely disappear. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.